Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. This is Aquascaping on the Fly Living Art Creations. I'm Anthony, your host and your content creator. And this is a channel for the DIYers and the extreme budget conscious because we like to forage for things that we don't have to pay for. We like to build what we need, and we also like to get the best bargain. So if you're looking for that channel that's flashy with all the high-end equipment and throwing a ton of plants in and a ton of livestock in, and this is beautiful aquarium. Wrong video. I'm the people that work a real job and they love the hobby, which I call a lifestyle hobby, and they just want to engage in it, but they don't want to spend a fortune. So that's the channel you've landed at. And also, my emphasis on that I like to showcase into every one of my builds my love of spirit and my dedication to Mother Nature, and honoring both of those with every one of the builds that I put together, whether it's a terrarium or an aquascape. And for me, almost every build, without a doubt, whatever side it's on, the terrarium or the aquarium side, every build starts with a trip in nature where I get inspired by Mother Nature. So that being said, we are also the touchy-feely channel as well. Now, today what I have for you is, I had a couple of comments today on the channel, and guys, I love my comments. I really do. I respond to all my comments, and I love the engagement process in the comments. I love the love and the feedback that comes in for the channel. And there were some comments about me documenting what I go through, and it's really good for people to see. I don't try to whitewash it for you. I don't try to dress it up. I show you the real raw results and how we get around that. And it gave me an idea that it's kind of time to do a retrospective on the tanks that are right behind me here, the Trinity Series. This is where it all started for me. And I've gone over today and done this handy little cheat sheet, which I've got a lot of data on this one. And then each tank specifically, I have data on to give you and show you my actual cost breakdown. So I will show you the cost of each one of the tanks when I initially set it up, and what's been added to the tank. And specifically in this series, I just did about a week ago not a total revamp of the tank. I didn't rescape the whole tank, but I did add a gravel layer over the Aquascaping soil, and then I did order new plants for all the three tanks. And so today, whenever I'm talking about the tanks and what they cost, my plant orders for these tanks are a little bit different than another tank. I order enough plants for all three because this is one cohesive look. What you're supposed to be looking at here, these are 10-gallon tanks, but they're placed side by side, and it's one vignette across three tanks, and the plants speak to each other in each one of the tanks. The one big difference is the shrimp is different in every single one of the tanks. But as far as the plants go and the hardscape, they're all similar, and they all kind of have this complete synergy effect when you combine them all together. So I hope that helps. What I'm going to do is focus on letting you look at all three of the tanks. I'm going to stand behind the screen. I'm going to cover some of the items on my fact sheet, and then we'll go into the specifics about each one. So let me get you reset up, and we'll go from there. And thanks for joining me today. Okay, now this is as close as I can get you guys when we're going to talk about all three of them collectively. And then I'll zoom in specifically on each tank when we get to that. The first thing I want to cover is this is the second week in a row where I have been using the RO remineralized water in the tanks. Now, a lot of you guys that are my subscribers or frequent viewers to the channel, you'll know that I discovered about a month ago that my water was hard, and I was having a lot of shrimp death due to unsuccessful molting. And I was not even ever testing in the very beginning my my GH and my KH levels. I was using the Aquascaping test kit, and I had not even looked into buying the ancillary test kit just for GH and KH. So the regular test kit, the API test kit that has your pH and your nitrate, your nitrite, that was always fine. So I was always good for that. When I found out that what I was testing for GH and KH, my God, that was off the chart. I felt actually horrible under the stress I had been putting all my shrimp under because I was not educated enough and didn't do my due diligence on my research about testing the GH and the KH levels. And so what I ended up doing is getting some very inexpensive equipment, like a little gram scale and a TDS, and those both cost less than $10. And then I went with a very, very inexpensive. I think I got one of the cheapest RO systems on Amazon that was more than 4 stars, because I don't look at anything less than 4 stars. It cost me $98, and I'm so happy I invested in it. Now, it's a slow system because mine's not a powerful one, which is okay for me because my tanks are small. But it does take me an entire afternoon to change the water out, just because to make the RO water takes quite a bit. But I can tell you right now that we are in line. GH should run between a 6 to an 8. And right now, the 3 tanks that we're looking at are 2 of them are at 6 and one's at 7 on GH. So we're within range. And then your KH is 2 to 4. And mine are 3 and one of them's coming up in the 4 range. So that is a great improvement over what I had, because I'm telling you, I was off the chart high because I have hard water. And another component is that my local water supply is chemically treated with chloramine, not chlorine. And chloramine is a lot harder for your livestock. It can do a lot more damage, and it's a lot harder to eradicate that from your water supply. You actually have to buy a chloramine filter to go in addition to most of them, because most of the ones that come as a set, like whether it's 3 canisters or 4 canister RO system, it will pull out chlorine, but it will not specifically pull out chloramine, so you have to buy a separate piece. So I had to buy a separate piece. And it's a much larger unit. It is quadruple the size, or maybe even 5 times the size of the regular filter, because it has to pull so much more out of the water. But the good news is once I've started down the road of getting the water better, I've noticed a difference in the shrimp in the tank. They don't look near as stressed out. So now I saw how they were acting before, and I see how they're acting now. And now they're acting like they're more enjoying their water space than what they were before. So that's 2 things that has been a benefit. And also, because I'm using the RO, my pH was always at 7.6. And so my pH has dropped to 6.4. So that's another added benefit just from now using the RO water. And like I say, this is my second time to complete that, and it can take, from online, it says anywhere from 2 to 4 months for your tanks to really level out. And you should do a water change every single week. And so I am going to be doing that. And I'm doing a 30% water change. And you can see there's blue tape on my tanks. That's basically telling me when I get to the 30% spot. So they're all equally getting the same water change every single time. So I'm really happy about that going forward. Now, one of the things I want to talk about, a big deal, is, number one, the tanks were all planted on April 23rd of 2025, so it's this year. Of course, my channel is only 8 months old, so but these are my original tanks. And what I love about this is, and I talk about spirituality, so if that offends anybody, there's other channels out there that don't. But I'm a highly spiritual person, and I'm very intuitive. And so what gave me the inspiration was actually the hardscape that I went on a hiking trail and found within about a week and a half of each other. And one thing I do want to point out is this tank is Garden of Eden. And this to me is Adam, and that's Eve. And when we zoom in, you'll see there is a snake in there. And there's my little snake, which is a piece of wood that wrapped around, it's on itself, that I found in a stream bed. And I think it's just amazing that I found it there. This is Turtle in motion. Now, Turtle has a snout. He has flippers, but I placed Nana Golden in between the flippers. So there's a flipper up here and there's a flipper down there. And then there's this U-shaped cutout. I put Golden Nana in there to highlight that. And then this one is Bird on a Wire. And some of you aren't going to get it, but this is the bird, and that's the bird's tail feathers. Again, that's Nana Golden. I have the same plants repeated in each one of the tanks, but I didn't catch it at first. I named this series the Trinity Series, and then one of them is called Garden of Eden. It's all spiritual. It really is all spiritual. And these ideas just come to me, and I get an idea, and then I have to build it. And that's just how it works in my brain. But like I said, so these are all 10-gallon tanks. Their original purchase price came from PetSmart with the 50% off. So each tank ended up costing me $14.49. You can't get that anywhere else online, let me tell you. You cannot. You will find on Marketplace 10-gallon tanks that are more expensive than what I paid for them for brand new ones. Another point, I'm using non-traditional aquarium lighting, which is super budget friendly. Now, originally, when I had these tanks set up, you see these strip lights here? I had them right here. I had one on the back side, one on the front side. So I had 2 per each tank. So the cost came down to $15 per tank. Really, it's only $7.50 because each strip comes down to $7.50. And I had 2 originally, so that made it $15. But what I found out is the lighting was too intense, and I was getting blackbeard algae in Eden, and I was getting horrible algae in the other 2 because the lighting was just too intense. So I moved the lighting. I always had lighting up in the branches up here because eventually this is all going to be plants that are going to climb to this, and I want lighting up in there so that they'll have lighting and they'll have the ability to climb up there and stay up there as a fixture above the tanks. So these are already full spectrum plant grow lights. They have their own inline timer, which is nice. And for me, they've worked really, really well. They're very versatile. I'm using them on this shelf and also the shelf below, which has the other tanks on it. But I don't have those lit up now just because I don't want to draw your attention to the ones below you. I had originally tank film for the backside, but I replaced it with vinyl that was free. And I had foam media, which I ended up not using. I did use some media bags and a couple of them, and I did use some clay pebbles. So that rounded out at $21. And then I did put $30 worth of soil and root tabs per tank. And the plants. Okay, so the plants, I order one set, and then I divide them up between all the tanks. That way they all have that cohesive look. And I spent $56 per tank on plants. So my actual cost, the baseline for what you've got in there other than the shrimp, was $136.49. And I'm going to give you a chart which shows all this in it. But the plants that I ended up ordering for the first round, Aquarium Plants Factory, because I get this a lot, who I order from. I ordered from Aquarium Plants Factory, Boost Plants, and also there's a couple of Amazon generic vendors that I buy from. But APF, I ordered the Anubias Pinto. I ordered also Bucephalonda leylina. So when we get to, this is Bus leylina here, and there's a piece of it down in that one and in here. And then the Anubias Pinto, there's some here and there. Let's see, what else I got? Oh, one of the big ones, Authornaria. Okay, I'm going to sound this is going to be so wrong. I think it's called Authornaria Rosenvig Mini. Now, I've just replanted them again. It's this rosy colored right here. And it's also in Bird on a Wire. It's in here as well. There were a couple in this one, but the snails destroyed them. That's another thing I'm going to talk about. Mystery snails. Keep them out of your tanks. Oh my God, they kill everything. Now for my Amazon ordered, I ordered the Anubias Nana Petite in white because it was cheaper than anybody else. And there is a little bit of white here, a little bit of white there, and I've got some white right over here. You can tell the difference because they have the brighter leaves. And then the Anubias Barteri Nana Golden. The Nana Golden, really and truly, I'm going to use my little pointer here, is what ties all the tanks together. And you can see it when you see them like this. All right, something I want to point out. This is not by accident. I planned it this way. This tank, Adam, is coming up, and if he continued his trajectory, he would go like this. He comes down, here he is again. So you got Adam right here with golden, golden, golden. You follow turtle, point of interest, goes straight down to here. Come over here, it starts here and goes out above. There's golden again. That's how the tanks are set up. They are set up to talk to each other. Normally I have them squished closer together, but when I just did a water change, I forgot to smoosh them back down together again. Also, the rocks. You have a cluster of rocks on this side. Again, another cluster of rocks. And here, another cluster of rocks. Now, you may say, why didn't you put your cluster of rocks right here? For a very good reason. If you stuck these tanks together in like a little pyramid, these rocks on this side would meet those rocks on that side. So it would complete the circle of life. I know that is in my brain. This is how it works. It's the only way I can tell you how I do it. I always say there is a method to my madness when it comes down to it. Another thing I want to point out, I used Aquascaping soil, which I like the Aquascaping soil because it's large enough that if you put something on top of it, like gravel or something like that, it just doesn't float all the way through it like it does with some of the other aqua soils that are much, much smaller in diameter. What I did that was incorrect, though, I had this great video on my channel, the most popular video, almost has 10,000 views, where I grew out dwarf hairgrass. And my dwarf hairgrass was amazing. I grew out enough to carpet this whole front, this whole section here, and this whole section right here. However, the dwarf hairgrass never could retain a consistent contact with the aqua soil. You can tell I have little tiny 5-watt pumps in each one of these tanks just to circulate the water. Anytime I would go in and remove the tank or push the tank going another direction, the aqua soil just blows all over the place. And it happened constantly. When I would clean something, the aqua soil would all move. The dwarf hairgrass became so dislodged constantly, it just never got a footing, it never got its runners, everything in there just eventually just died out. So I lost all my dwarf hairgrass. And so about a week ago is where I put this gravel in on the top layer. And I'm going to tell you that I got this gravel in my parking lot. In my parking lot outside, they put a bunch of gravel out because we get a lot of rain, and there's a little small river behind us. And so it's going to that river area. Well, wherever they put it, they used to put too much, and it just ran into the parking lot. So there's a bunch of gravel in the parking lot that people just drive all over. So I just get out there and sweep some of it up and clean it, and there you go. Free gravel in my tanks. So once I put the gravel in, then I went ahead and rescaped. So I repopulated the original Rosa, which I call the Rosa, in this area. And then I added some dwarf Sagittaria for my greenery, because now that I have shrimps in there, I want them to be happy. So I want them to have something to graze on and play around in. So I put the Sagittaria in here as well, a couple more Rosas. And then in this one, there's more Sagittaria right here and here and here. So I'm trying to get enough of greenery because it does say it spreads well. It grows quickly. I want something else to be in there that the shrimp can crawl all over because they love feeding on the algae that is on the plants themselves. Now, part of the replanting, I reintroduced Vallisneria leopard. I had it all along here on the backside. And my mystery snails, I'm telling you, they just destroyed everything. I had 2 stem plants planted in this tank, and the mystery cells were so large when they crawl over it, all the leaves come off. They break all the leaves off. They did the same thing with the leopard. So I reintroduced leopard into here. Some of the baby shoots that came with it, I put into this side of the tank. And then I have some leopard on this side of the tank. Because what you're supposed to be able to tell is even though it's the same one, it's supposed to look like one tank, you want their cohesion to be between each one for your plants so it doesn't have such an abrupt beginning and an end. Another component is that I'm growing houseplants. So up in here I have a prayer plant and a monstera, and there is a Rex begonia that I'm trying to get to grow back in here. This one I have some rattlesnake plant, a spotted Hoya, another prayer plant, and then a pothos here, which has grown all the way up to the ceiling now. That pothos, when I found it, it had 3 leaves on it, and I found it on the ground outside one of my layovers in Florida, and I just brought it back with me, and it's done phenomenally well. So well that I've had to cut its roots back twice because I want to be able to see in the tank as well. And I may let them grow a little bit more wild now that I've got the rescaping going on. But I think that's it for covering the basics of where the budget started. And then I'm going to give you the details for each one of the tanks. Basically, so we go from, I think it was the $136. And then once we add shrimp, that was almost another $40 per tank. And then the plants that I've just reintroduced, I think all the tanks now are hovering right at $200 and I think it's $212, $213 per tank, because they're really, no matter what I ordered for it, I did split it up. So like they were like within $2 and $3 of each other. So now they've just topped out just over $200 per tank. And that includes everything that I've got in there. Because I'm trying to show you full disclosure. This is what you can expect when you're putting a tank together. And if you have trouble with some of your plants and you have to reintroduce plants, I'm still adding that into the budget so you guys can track how successful or not successful it is. So right now, I'm going to start and we're going to go straight into the individual tanks, and I'm going to zoom in so you can get a better look at it. Okay, did anyone guess? It's turtle in motion. What I love about this tank, turtle is the very first piece I found of hardscape, and I found it in a campfire. It's charred on the entire backside of it, and when I saw it, I saw it immediately. I saw that it was a turtle immediately, and it brought me back to a very favorite memory from my flight attendant job. I was in Barbados one night, and I helped rescue baby sea turtles and take them to the ocean instead of them going the wrong way, which were the bright lights to the hotel. I did that for about 2 hours, and I got so excited. It was such a spiritual experience. I was able to touch them and talk to them and help them get to the water. I mean, it was just magical. So when I saw turtle, I immediately was right back into that same space I was before. And I just love this tank because to me, it's very I like having things that are artistically pleasing and aesthetically pleasing, but also striking. And I love about my tanks is that I've always been an artist, and I'm taking an artist standpoint when I put the tanks together, and I try to create balance and harmony and in the tanks. So in this one, what we've done in addition, the shrimp in here, and you probably will not see the shrimp. I'm down to one. But it is the Neo Snowball. I got this online. Originally, I ordered 10, and I think it was 8 arrived originally, and then over the next, I think it was 3 different sets of dates. So the shrimp were added on June 10th. On June 11th, the first one died. June 15th, another one died. And then July 9th, I only had confirmed 2 were alive. And as of just last week, I could confirm there's only 1 alive in there. Now, I don't know if this was, again, according to my hard water, but they had the white death, so I'm assuming it is. The one that's in there now is a larger one, and it's a male. I am not going to repopulate it with the snowballs because even when there were more in there, they don't have a fun personality. That's what I want to say. I mean, compared to the other shrimps I have, they are the ones who are always in hiding. They would never come out anyway. They're all on the backside of the build, and you never could see them. The mystery snails, I don't recommend because they literally, like I said before, they just terrorize my stem plants because they do crawl on everything. But as of just 3 days ago, I added, of course, the dwarf Sagittaria, the Valsneria leopard. That brings up the total because that order of plants per this tank was $43. So that brings this tank up to $213.49. I'm very happy with the fact that I put in the gravel because the tanks, to me, I thought they were still striking, but they were so black on the inside that you really just couldn't see much. And when I added the gravel in, it just immediately lifted the lighting inside the tanks. And I love that because now you can see highlights. And the Wave Maker, you see how it does this shadow effect. I love that. I think it looks more realistic. And I will tell you, not in this tank, but in the other tanks, the shrimp love to swim against the current. And they do it that way all the time. So I'm thinking this must be something they really enjoy or something that's like an instinct, maybe in nature has how they do it. Another thing about this tank, and I'm going to just pull up for a little bit to show you. Here's how the lighting is. It's just attached to the wood above it. But you can see the snake plant, and then its roots go down into it, and the Hoya, speckled Hoya is right here. And I've got some roots back on this prayer plant. Now, the prayer plant's having a hard time, but it is growing. The speckled Hoya is doing amazingly well, and so is the snake plant, because all the roots that go all the way down now, and they will go into the soil. They will find their way into the soil. They have attached themselves before. That tells you, when you're trying to put a houseplant in there, you really can cut your roots off a lot shorter than I did. And then you will see the new growth because it will be a white root. It won't have any discoloration to it whatsoever at all. But I am probably going to do a different type of Neo snail for in here, shrimp for in here, because I want something with some color. The white is just not that easy to spot. You would think it would be. That's why I chose it, because I thought this darkness here and the black darkness there, it'd be something that would just show up really easy. It doesn't. You can see my ghost shrimp in the next tank over a lot easier than you can see the white one. But I don't know what I'm going to do about the white. I may put the snowball in one of my bowl aquariums that I just set up. I just did a recycled trio, where we're doing an extreme budget on them. So check that out if you're really into the budget stuff. But now let's move on to the next tank. Okay, now we're into Garden of Eden, and I hope you can see a little bit better. Let me point this out. So here is my snake, and it rolls all around. It goes all to the back. It fits perfectly. Comes around here, rips around here, goes up, and there's the mouth. It did have a little piece of a red plant in it, but it died out. One thing that's very unfortunate, this entire thing was covered in Christmas moss, and it was solid green. For some reason, it all started dying. I am not sure why, because I have Christmas moss in another tank that is flourishing, but in this one, I'm not sure what happened. So I'm probably going to take my thread off and just take it all off because it'll look better as a stick than it is a stick with some dead Christmas moss and still has thread on it. So that's one of the things that I was kind of disappointed about, that it's still there and it still looks cool. And if I put it, I can put it straight up at the very top to where the mouth of the snake sticks out. But I'm trying at different levels just to see if the Christmas moth is going to grow back or not. But it's not having it. I'm not sure what's wrong with it. It's just not doing well at all. Another plant that did not grow well is, I originally had water sprite planted right here in the middle, and it grew up beautifully. It was such a light color. It really stood out and then died right after that. Not sure what happened with that either. But with this one, we started with Amano shrimp in here. And the Amano, they cost $37 for 10. 9 arrived alive with that particular order. And I think it was July, well, of course, those were entered in on June 11th. By July 6th, I only found confirmed 5 were alive. On July 9th, I found one on the floor dead, so I know they would jump out. And the Amanos were eventually relocated to the Tree of Life tank. And currently, the ghost shrimp are in here. And I know there's more than 10. They do a really good job because in this tank, they go all the way to the top of the tank. They're not scared of heights. But in the Tree of Life, they wouldn't hardly touch the top of the tank. They were very skittish. They would just stay at the bottom. So in this one, they're completely different. Their mood and the way they act is completely different. I did add a Bucephalandra centipede that was added to the middle here, and that's a Leilina right here, a Bus Leilina. That's the centipede. And then the total price now with the new plants that we just added that I've already talked about, this one's $216.49 is the price on this one. And now this one did have a mystery snail. The mystery snail may have had something to do with, because I just pulled the mystery snail out about 4 days ago. It could be the reason why the Christmas moss just started to die, because once the snail started going over it, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it may have just dislodged it. Or I'm not sure what happened with it, because now you can see now it's completely bare. That could be part of the problem. But also the original Vallisneria leopard that was in this back corner, which was taller, the snail just kept pulling that up out. And so finally I just got rid of the mystery snails. I love looking at them. I thought they were amazing to look at, but it just did not help the health of the aquarium itself. Now, this one has just one of the groupings of plants, and you can see it right there. You can see the prayer plant, but there's also a monstera right there. And then I have a tiny little leaf of a Rex begonia, because I'm trying to see if I can get them to grow in here as well. But I love this because this is one of the few ones that's up on this level that actually has a cave system. So the shrimp can go in on this side and through the top side. So there's hiding spaces in here. And then there's a hiding space in the middle of Adam and Eve. Now, fun note, Adam and Eve are 2 pieces of wood that I was in a park system, and I picked them up, and I only had one hand available to hold them in. So I had to put them together in my hand, and they fit just like this. And that's when I saw Adam and Eve. It just came to me like that, like a bolt. And then 3 or 4 days later, boom, I found the stick. And the stick was in a stream bed that had dried, and it was just sitting there perfectly waiting for me to pick it up. So it was just amazing. I mean, it was just fate for me to find it, or divine intervention, for those of you who believe in the spirituality side of it. So it was amazing. I think it just really came together. And I'm hoping that the leopard will grow and the Sagittarius will pick up, because I want some more greenery in this. Because eventually I am not going to have ghost shrimp in here, because I don't like the ghost shrimp. They're too aggressive. They fight each other like you would not believe, and they are cannibals. So when they get aggressive enough, they will attack each other and eat each other. I've seen that in my other tank that I have them in as well. So going forward, I would not recommend the ghost shrimp. If you want something that's a voracious eater but is not going to breed, then you would want to do the Amano, because they're awesome at eating biofilm. So that's it for this one. Let's move on to the last. And now to a fan favorite is Bird on a Wire. And it's because of the orange, really, shrimp that are in here. And you can see the female. She is super, super active. She's in the foreground. She is, I've got 4 in there right now confirmed, that I can confirm. There could be 5, but I can confirm 4. I know she's a female. I think I have another female, so I think I have 2 and 2. I have 2 males and 2 females. And this one does have eggs behind her head. So she's got the eggs in there ready, but I haven't seen anything happening. And by that, I mean sex. I haven't seen any sex going on. And this is one of the favorite tanks of everybody that I put a lot of like 1-minute videos out there, especially on TikTok. They're always doing something crazy. They're the acrobats. You can see right now what she's doing. And here's one of the males back in the corner back there. She is so active. And ironically, what I was scared about having pumps in there, they go right up to that pump. They get right on that water intake. It does not bother them. I think they're like little daredevils. And they love, like here's one of the shrimp is actually in the root system of the pothos. They love hanging out in the roots, so I am going to let the roots go more wild just because I know they enjoy it, and that's a great place for them to hide. But like the other 2 tanks, let's talk about the shrimp. So these are the orange really. These cost $37 for 10. 8 of these arrived alive on June the 11th. On the 12th, 1 died. The 15th, 2 died. And on the 9th of July, I had 4 confirmed alive. I cannot confirm 5, but every once in a while, when I think I found 5, one of them swims too fast and I've lost it. So I still can't confirm that. This one had also a stem plant that died out of it. I forgot the name, Progesterone. It died out. Its leaves just kept falling off. I'm not sure why. The shrimp weren't doing anything to it, but it did die out. I lost some of my Rosa plants here. Some of these are the originals, and I've cut them back. But these plantings that I've just planted, these small ones, they came off of another tank. Because, you know, a good note about it is you need to have more than 1 tank eventually, because when your plants do grow and you want to trim them and replant them, you've got another vessel for them to go into, which is really, really nice, because you don't want to throw these things away. This one has a Boost Giant Velvet, which is right here. It came in with the order for Blackfish, but I put one of them here because it just had this great leaf coverage right there. One of the things I love about this Leylina, they're attached with thread, but you can see how their rhizome little runners are coming out, whatever we're supposed to call those. They barely came out to the wood to bird itself. Look at them now. They're all underneath here. And they all have grown straight up. I am so amazed by that. And I keep wondering if they're ever going to flower, because I have one that flowered an Aragon in another plant that did flower. So far, I don't think I've looked online to see if this plant is one that is capable of flowering, but it is growing beautifully. You can see one of the shrimps on the bottom side. This would still has biofilm. The other ones do not, but this one still has biofilm. So it's still producing biofilm. So they still have a lot of stuff to eat in here, and they munch on. Once I've added the rocks, it really increased their activity in here. They just love the rocks. They love rooting around in the gravel, and also the plants as well. Let's see what else. For the total cost of this one is also $216.49. My takeaways on that one, on this tank, is that I love the plants that are growing out of this. It's the speckled Hoya and the pothos. And let's zoom up just a little bit. So there you can see the pothos coming out. It's literally going all the way. It has that far to go before it reaches the ceiling. It's right up there. And then the speckled Hoya, which is right here, is just, I just have it just sitting balanced on both tanks there. So that's how it's, doing its thing. This one is a favorite just because when I put this together, I didn't realize that I chose this tank to put the orange lilies in when these rocks are orange. So it's very, very, very hard when I do filming to point out that there is an orange lily shrimp on the orange rock. And so the public just loves this. So those are my takeaways for everything that we've done to the tanks. So now you're up to speed on what their current cost in layman is. And then I'm going to do the text boxes, which will show you the demographics for each one of the plants that are across the board in there. So at the end of the video, it'll have all the plants listed, and you can see what they each require. And then it'll have my bigger document. I'll expand it so that it takes like several seconds to look at it. But you'll probably have to pause the video and zoom in on it because the font's going to be small to get it on one page. And I'm going to do it as like a thumbnail embedded into the video so you can look at all the information that I have out there for you. Because I think the more information you have, the better it is for you to learn from how I'm doing it into what may happen to you in the real world. Because that's the whole point of this, is showing you the real world. So thanks for hanging out. For those of you who are 97% of you out there are watching my videos and not subscribing. So I'm going to make a plea to please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting. Like I said, my channel is only 8 months old. My videos are not even getting out there yet to the intended audience. They're going out there in these weird areas, and you guys are finding me by accident. But when you're doing it, you are loving our interaction. Comments are amazing, and the likes I get. So please, for my loyal crew out there, please continue that. But if you're new and you're watching this video, consider a subscription. It's nothing. It just means that we're not in love or anything. We're not dating or anything. We're not connected or anything. It just means that you like the channel and you want to see more of it. Hopefully you want to see more of it. Oh my gosh, because this is my passion. I mean, this energy level is my passion. I love doing this. And I love helping the public out. So if you learn from my mistakes, it's way better than the way you don't have to make that mistake. So please consider the like, subscribe, and comment. And I will see you guys on the next video update. Have a great evening.